Hello everyone, welcome to Chelsea Sport Focus. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of breaking news. Let's get started.
Chelsea supporters are being urged to move on from the hope of seeing Mark Gui return to Stamford Bridge, with confirmation emerging that the defender has already completed his medical tests ahead of a move to Manchester City. For many fans, the news is deeply frustrating. Guéh was widely viewed as the perfect solution to Chelsea's long-standing defensive problems, a player developed by the club, shaped by its academy, and now established as one of the most composed centre-backs in the Premier League. His decision to join a direct rival raises uncomfortable questions about why Chelsea once again failed to secure a player who seemed destined to come home. The roots of this failure stretch back several years. When Chelsea sold Guéh earlier in his career, the decision was framed as a necessary sacrifice in a squad overloaded with defensive options. At the time, the club believed experience mattered more than potential, and Guéh was allowed to leave in search of regular first-team football. What followed was rapid development. Given responsibility and trust, he matured into a leader, improved his positional awareness, and became dominant in both defensive duels and build-up play. By the time Chelsea realised what they had lost, the power dynamic had shifted. Chelsea's recent attempts to re-sign Guéh were reactive rather than decisive. Interest was real, but it lacked clarity and urgency. Negotiations were slow, complicated by internal debates over valuation, wage structure, and long-term planning. While Chelsea were still assessing whether Guéh fit into yet another evolving project, Manchester City acted with conviction. They offered a clear sporting vision, immediate stability, and a defined role under a manager with a proven system. For a player entering his prime, the choice was obvious. Another key factor was trust. Guéh left Chelsea to play football, not to sit on the bench behind expensive signings. Even as the club expressed interest in bringing him back, there were lingering doubts about whether he would be a guaranteed starter or just another name in a crowded squad. Manchester City, by contrast, presented a pathway built on tactical clarity and consistent competition at the highest level. Chelsea's reputation for constant managerial changes and squad overhauls worked against them. Financial strategy also played a role. Chelsea have spent heavily in recent windows, but often without cohesion. The club hesitated to meet the full valuation for Guéh, hoping to negotiate or delay. City did not. They understood the market, recognised the value of a Premier League proven defender entering his peak years, and moved swiftly. In modern football, hesitation is often punished, and Chelsea paid the price. There is also an uncomfortable truth for Chelsea fans to accept. The club has struggled to convince elite or near-elite players that Stamford Bridge is the best place for stability and development right now. Projects have changed, promises have shifted, and players have been asked to buy into long-term visions that keep being reset. Guéh, having already experienced uncertainty at Chelsea once, had little reason to gamble again. For supporters, the disappointment runs deeper because this was not just any transfer. This was a player who understood the club, the culture, and the expectations. A leader Chelsea could have built around for years. Instead, he will now strengthen a rival that already operates at a higher level of consistency and coherence. The failure to re-sign Mark Gui is a lesson Chelsea cannot afford to ignore. Talent identification alone is not enough. Conviction, timing, and trust matter just as much. Until Chelsea prove they can act decisively, offer stability, and present a clear footballing identity, similar stories will continue to repeat. For now, Chelsea fans must accept the reality. Guéh is gone, the chapter is closed, and the responsibility for that failure lies squarely with the club itself. Chelsea's January transfer window has taken on a familiar sense of intensity and urgency as the club finds itself locked in a complex and increasingly high-stakes pursuit of Rennes defender Jeremy Jac. At just 20 years old, Jac has emerged as one of the most coveted young centre-backs in European football. And Chelsea's interest reflects both their long-term recruitment philosophy and their immediate need to stabilise a defence that has struggled for consistency throughout the season. From the outside, this saga looks like another ambitious move by a club determined to invest in elite potential. Inside Stamford Bridge, however, the situation feels far more pressing. Chelsea's league position has fallen short of expectations. Performances have been uneven, and defensive lapses have repeatedly undermined otherwise promising displays. Against that backdrop, the pursuit of Jacquet is not simply about planning for the future, but about addressing a present vulnerability that has become impossible to ignore. Chelsea's interest in Jacquet is not new. Club officials have tracked his development closely since his loan spell at Clermont Foot, where his composure, athleticism, and maturity beyond his years first caught the attention of elite recruiters. Since returning to Rennes, his rise has been rapid. He has established himself as a first-choice centre-back in Ligue 1, earned recognition at youth international level with France's under-20s, and shown an ability to cope with pressure in high-profile fixtures. His blend of aerial strength, anticipation, and comfort on the ball aligns perfectly with the modern demands placed on top-level defenders. Negotiations between Chelsea and Rennes intensified as January progressed. Chelsea's sporting leadership made early contact, initially to gauge Rennes' willingness to entertain a mid-season sale. Those conversations quickly revealed the scale of the challenge. Rennes, well aware of Jacquet's importance and his growing market value, made it clear they were in no rush to sell. With Champions League qualification firmly in their sights, losing their defensive leader halfway through the campaign would represent a significant sporting risk. That reluctance has been reflected in Rennes' valuation. Any deal, they insist, would require a fee that borders on extraordinary, one that compensates not only for Jacquet's talent, but also for the timing of the move. Figures north of £50 million have been discussed, with Rennes privately aiming to set a new benchmark for defensive sales from the club. The message has been consistent. Only an offer too good to refuse would open the door in January. Chelsea, for their part, have not been discouraged. They see Jacquet as a cornerstone defender who could anchor their backline for the next decade. In a squad built largely around youth, his age is viewed as an advantage rather than a risk, particularly given the volume of senior football he has already played. The club believes that under the right guidance, Jacquet could grow into a leader at Stamford Bridge, capable of shaping the defensive identity Chelsea have been searching for since their last settled title-winning core began to break apart. Competition for his signature has only added to the urgency. Arsenal, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich have all expressed admiration for Jacquet at various points, and Chelsea are acutely aware that waiting until the summer could place them at a disadvantage. Other clubs may have more stable league positions, clearer projects, or fewer immediate needs, but Chelsea are betting that early action and a decisive offer could tilt the balance in their favour. For Jacquet,